Hey everybody, welcome back to the Irish Sooners. JP.
And Opie, JP, how's your weekend going?
I think the question is, how's your weekend going, OP?
I don't think I've had this good of a weekend possibly ever. Like, I had to wake up this morning and make sure I didn't have just some crazy, vivid 6 hour long dream.
Yeah,
I had to go back through ESPN app and check our social medias and whatnot and make sure like that wasn't just some crazy dream from last night. But I got to go back to work Friday. Obviously, last night happened. Then today I went on a little 5 mile hike. So it's been a great weekend.
man.
I'm living life right now.
Yeah, getting it all in, dog.
That's right.
It's good, man. It was another cool weekend over here for the Sooners. On my end, wasn't sweating anything out, so I was nervous for you.
I was very nervous for me, but
Me and
yeah,
me
it
and
was just a little slight 50-plus point win for you guys.
it's
Nothing
like
major.
we said that was gonna happen. We said we was gonna cover.
That's true.
But yeah, man. I mean, me and Opie called or FaceTimed the last
The last couple minutes of regulation and then
last couple minutes of regulation and the entire overtime, and he was on the lag.
times.
Overtimes, yeah, and he was on a lag.
Yeah,
So I was trying to keep a straight face while not telling him what was going on.
I don't have cable, so I have to stream it, and I was probably 2 plays behind you for
Yeah,
most of it. And JP's trying to either have this big old poker face, or if he knows he can't do something, he just puts it up towards the ceiling and just made sure he wasn't in it. But yeah, he saw me living and dying by every breaking second of that game, and I'm sure it wasn't a pretty sight. But hey,
man,
it is a win. First win over a number one team in the country in my lifetime.
yeah,
Like, they hadn't won since '93.
yeah, 3 years, 40-year born.
It feels great. Like, I don't even know if I was saying words last night. I think I might have just been making sounds. I don't know if I had any coherent thoughts,
Yeah,
but it was outstanding.
it was outstanding, and we're going to get into all of that uh, in just a bit. Just a reminder, Brahms, please sponsor us. We've been asking for weeks. We're going to have here, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks before Bedlam, we're going to have a friend of mine that runs the Students Football Podcast. He's going to come on and he's going to chat with us and have an extended episode with us. So Browns gave them a shout out. I'm looking for us to level up in that way. Sorry, I'm answering a text from my wife. Happy wife, happy life. You know what they say.
That's right. I will go ahead and step in here while you answer your text. Brahms, once again, sponsor us. I am a mere 200 steps from one of your locations. I will test any flavor of ice cream that you need me to. We can make this like a bamboozled type thing. Like, you can surprise me of whether this ice cream is actually going to be good or if it's a prank, and I'll gladly go along with it. So let's make something happen.
Period. But yeah, let's make it happen. But yeah, so we'll
Also, anybody who's not Brahms and wants to sponsor us, feel free to do so as well. We will not turn down any sponsorships, and we would love to make this show even better for you, our listeners. And currently, we are unable to do so with the budgets that we have.
Exactly. We want to take it to the next level. Almost. Is this our 25th episode?
I think so, actually. The big 2-5.
Big 2-5 and what?
Yeah, because Ryan was 24, so this is 25.
What a 2-5, man! I'm telling you. All right, guys. So let's dive in real quick.
I remember 1 and 10 like they were yesterday, man.
What'd you say?
So I remember 1 and 10 like they were yesterday.
Man, those flew through every week. Just trying to out pandemic.
I told you I was rewatching the game, right?
Yeah.
The NBC replay of it cuts off in the middle of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, bro.
Because I'm sure it was the scheduled SNL time.
That's tough.
So the best part of the game is not on TV or on the replay.
Might have to go to YouTube, Doug. Hopefully somebody posted it.
Hopefully. But anyways, let's
What
get
happened
into
to
it.
OU games? Yeah, normally I'm the one going off on a tangent. Now it's you.
I know. It's crazy.
No. Well, all
But
right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and dive in real quick. I'm gonna recap, which should be a short recap of the OU Kansas game, and then I will give our star people the the pencil as he recaps the Notre Dame Clemson instant classic that was last night. So OU Kansas final score 62-9. Um, Let me look up some stats for you here real quick. I'm pretty sure OU outgained Kansas by like 300 yards or something around there. There was no reason for it to be a game, and it wasn't. And everybody might say, "Oh, well, it was supposed to go that way," but let me tell you this: Kansas has been Kansas. Last year, they were just as bad, and we won 42-20, right? So, yeah, and you can say some of that's backup defense, right? But at the end of the day, like our backups played the last, half of the third quarter and entire fourth quarter. So it just tells you, even what Ryan said over the other day about how Brian Kelly knew he had to get some depth, which even for Notre Dame flashed last night, right? They finally got there and they're able to play with the big boys. When you're able to get your 2-3 deep in there and you can kind of still almost keep the same level of play, then there's not going to be a lot of problems.
I'm sorry if any of you can hear this, but I think my neighbors just got a drum set. And I think they just started learning to play their drum set. Yeah, that's what I'm listening to. So if everybody can hear this, I'm sorry in advance.
That I can't hear it.
Okay, then I feel better about it now.
I think
but
we're good.
Also, we posted the video, and I keep looking off the screen.
That's why.
At the wall. I think my neighbor is learning to play the drums. But okay, let's get back into OU Kansas.
OU Kansas. All right. So, looking at final team stats, crazy enough, Kansas possessed the ball longer than we did. It was 32 minutes to 27 minutes. We outgained them by over 200 yards. We outgained them by over 300 yards, 304 to be exact. 294 actually. Excuse me, I can't do my math today. 294 yards. We outgained them. 340 passing yards, 200 rushing yards. It's another Lincoln Riley era-esque offense where, we run for about 200 yards, pass for 300. Everybody thinks he's air raid. And if I ever hear people say Lincoln Riley's air raid, you don't watch Oklahoma football. And that's how I know why, because we run a lot. And, Ramondre Stevenson is – I'm banking on him coming back next year just for another year eligibility and a whole another year of tape. I don't think he's going to be able, even in the last couple games he has here, to put enough stock to, like, get where he wants to go. I think he has first-round potential. He is Marshawn. He's a mix of Marshawn Lynch, Eddie Lacy, but I think he's more Marshawn Lynch's than Eddie Lacy because I don't think that he's has a propensity to balloon up like Eddie Lacy did. Yeah. But he has the speed and quickness, yet the powerfulness to go with it as well. He rushed for over 100 yards today, 2 touchdowns. He had 11 attempts, 104 yards. That's a 9.5 yard per carry average, which is ridiculous. But, like I said, the biggest story of the game was Spencer Rattler potentially being hurt. 14-0 we're on the 5-yard line. We ran an RPO. Spencer pulls it out, read option. Spencer pulls it out, and correctly so, and, was running to the end zone, decides to lower his shoulder. Really doesn't get low enough. Guy blows up his left hip. Come to find out, Spencer's not wearing hip pads, which apparently is a thing at times. Not everybody, believe it or not, wears hip pads in college. But you would think, a quarterback would. And, you don't know. But he got blasted. I mean, blown up, and it looked bad. And he was limping. And I was nervous at first. Then he came back out. Right, first throw, tries to throw. I gotta come out. I'm thinking, bro, our season's over. Like, I was like, he got a fractured hip or something like that. You don't want to mess with hips, right, at all. So I am mad.
situation.
Yeah, I am upset, right? And so he plays throughout the rest for the most part the rest of the game. Like 3 minutes into the third quarter, which even a lot of Oklahoma fans and pundits were saying, "Why is he in the game? Lincoln, why is he in the game? Lincoln, why is he in the game?" And I trust Lincoln. I didn't understand it per se, but I think at the end of the day, Lincoln was trying to get him extra reps before a bye week, right?
Yeah.
We have the biggest game of the season coming up in 2 weeks in Bedlam. And, obviously, no, you don't want to risk getting hurt again, but I think Lincoln was doing a good enough job protecting him. Last thing I'll say, and then I want to get to you, Opie, and your neighbor's drum set over there. Our defense, man, and I know it's Kansas, but here's the thing: Kansas put out their lowest output of the season on us. Okay, so it's not as if everybody's been holding them to lower than double digits. Now everybody's for the most part held them under 20, but essentially we held them 3 points. They scored literally on the last play of regulation. So it is what it is. But basically we held them to 3 points. We had 9 sacks. I mean, their quarterback was he was in the dirt the entire game. One of the last sack we had, Isaiah Thomas rolled on top of him. His body was like this. We all thought, I kid you not, we all thought he had dislocated hip. His body looked contorted in a bad way, bro. We were all saying, pray for him, pray for Jalen Daniels. And he ended up being okay, it looked like. And I hope he's going to continue to be. But Nick Benito, if you don't know his name, OP, in my opinion, he's a top 5 edge rusher in college football. I've seen enough tape. Yeah, I've seen enough tape. I mean, I put Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm trying to think of what's dude's name from I can't even think of his name. I'm tripping. I'm sorry. But I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon is one that flashes off the screen immediately to me of just people that make, flash plays. Joseph Osai for Texas is going to be a first-round pick next year. One of the first ones they've had in a minute, honestly. Yeah, horns down. I'll give him his respect. He's a beast, okay, off the edge. Nick Benito has got to be out there with him, man. And I'm not saying he projects to an edge rusher at the next level because he's kind of more of a outside linebacker per se, more than a defensive end. Yeah. But just his blitzing prowess is stupid, dude. He's smart enough to anticipate snap counts, get off the ball quick. He had 3 sacks yesterday, 2.5 tackles for loss, filling up the stat sheet. And he's not even our best player on the defensive side. You book in him and Ronnie Perkins, who everybody says is a surefire first-round pick, and he's probably going to come back next year too. It's been a minute since I've been this excited about an Oklahoma defense, bro. And our secondary is playing okay too, and that helps when you have your front four putting pressure on, right? Yeah. But I saw guys flash even in the 2 and 3D. There's a guy I tweeted out about Shane Whittier, freshman from North Carolina. Alex Grinch brought in. Apparently, man runs a 4.5. He's 6 foot and stocky, big middle linebacker. Bro, he is physical. When I tell you I'm excited for him, the future of him for in general. Yeah. He is physical. I don't know if I've seen as physical of a linebacker in OU the last couple of years than he looks like he might be. And again, Kenneth Murray, not saying he wasn't physical because he was, but Shane Whittier just looks like he might have a little bit more potential as far as cerebralness, because K9 was not necessarily looked at as a cerebral linebacker. He was, east-west real quick, and he could get north-south real quick, but there are times he didn't know what hole to be in. Alex Grinch is raved about Shane Whittier, and the fact that he's getting some snaps as a true freshman tells me all I need to know. So, again, 62-9, we got the bye week to heal up. Spencer needs to heal up. We got Austin Stockton. We got chopped at the knees, just a knee bruise. He needs to heal up. But we got a big game coming up in 2 weeks, Bedlam. Tune in. Hopefully, it should be a top, 20 matchup as long as Oklahoma State doesn't lose next week. Now, I don't even know if they play next week, to be honest, so I don't want to speak had a turn. But
Yeah.
like I said, man, I'm just excited about the future, and it's Kansas, sure, but 62-9 is 62-9. You do what you're supposed to do. I mean, when Ohio State rolls Rutgers, and again, Rutgers is not the same Rutgers, but in the past when they did that, they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, that's what you expect. And so I am just happy that we came in and flashed yesterday and looking forward to the future. But now on to our next part of the show.
So I'm excited. Oh, hey, I was wondering where that went.
What you love to hear.
Oh, well, there's that.
Last night, the Notre Dame Irish defeated the Clemson Tigers 47-40.
Whew. So
Yeah,
I'm excited actually for my first Bedlam here in Oklahoma. I remember
you gonna go? Are you gonna go to Trey's?
we might have to. Tell your sister I might need to get a ticket. See what she can do.
Yeah. I don't know if she's gonna be there.
But no, I'm excited. And obviously, like I said in the past, I work with a ton of Oklahoma State people in the office. So it'll be interesting to hear them talk their talk all week and whatnot. But we'll see what happens. But like you said, Notre Dame knocked off Clemson 47-40. I think I had about 6 heart attacks at some point or other in the game. I have 7 pages of notes throughout. The first half notes were a lot more family friendly. Those were posted on Twitter. The second half notes I could not post because we are a family friendly show. And my thoughts got a little sporadic.
Hey, be real with them.
No, I was really impressed with how Ian Book played, just out of his mind. Dude finished. Hang on, I just wrote it down somewhere on my 7 pages of notes.
He looked good.
He looked good.
I was telling you that last night. He looked good, bro. Like,
he went 22 for 39, 310 yards with a touchdown. And the biggest key to me, he didn't throw a pick. He also added 68 rushing yards, which helped. And I know before the game you texted me, you said, "Are you ready?" And I texted you back and I said, "No."
No.
And I followed it with, "I am not ready for 58 minutes of good football, only to have my heart broken in the last 2 minutes."
Yeah.
When Notre Dame got the ball back with less than 2 minutes to play, I said, here it is. Here it is. And, yeah, I'm thinking, we got the ball back with a minute 54 was when they punted. But I'm sitting there. I said, all right, Ian's going to drive. We're going to get this. We're going to get it going. And then we'll get to the red zone, and it'll be a pick.
Yeah.
Didn't happen that way with a couple big shots to McKinley, to Davis. Book making some things happen with his legs on that drive. And then finally found Avery Davis for a touchdown to tie it and send it to overtime.
Yeah.
And I think that was where you finally saw the huge reaction out of me on FaceTime. But the first play of overtime, I was immediately brought back to earth when they Clemson takes it for a touchdown, and eventually, after about 25 minutes of reviews, the call is confirmed and then reversed again. And then the next play, they score again, but it has to be reviewed again. I swear that first overtime took 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. Anyways, they scored to go up 40-33. And then Ian Book keeps it driving. Audibles a play for a Kyron Williams touchdown run up the middle for 3 yards. And the tight ends last night, blocking was just incredible. Tommy Tremble continues to be one of the best blocking tight ends in the country, if he's not the best. Michael Meyer throwing blocks left and right, also catching big passes, looking like baby Gronk out there. I saw George Kittle tweeted about him and said, "Feed the man, It was just unreal. Second overtime, Notre Dame got the ball first. Couple flags on it on their first play. Ended up being offsetting penalties with Clemson's being a 15-yard as opposed to a 10-yard. So they moved the ball up a couple yards. A couple scrambles and runs. Nothing happening. Notre Dame takes a timeout. Kyron Williams with another touchdown and another fantastic block from Tommy Tremble to open the gap, make things happen. On the defensive side of things, added 2 sacks on that final drive. And I'm not going to lie to you, I can't remember the last 2 plays. I don't think I remember what happened at all. I think I blacked out for a little bit. But I know they took a shot. It was a completion with a lateral or 2, right?
Yeah, so the second play was a sack. The third play was
the first one was a run or something.
His back, bro. Like, I don't know who that was. Dude was off the snap quick.
It was Dalen Hayes.
It was supposed to be a screen or something, but DJ, whoever dude was, jumped on DJ's back like he was a backpack. Like,
yeah, it was that Dalen Hayes that Ryan told us has been there for forever, and they all call him Coach Hayes now.
Oh, that's him. Okay,
that was him. And then that last play,
man,
had a completion up the right side, and then a couple laterals, and eventually Notre Dame brought it down.
And you were for it. I'm gonna turn the light on in here, y'all.
Sounds good. But I think the keys on the defensive side of the game was Notre Dame was able to completely shut down the running game. They held Travis Etienne to 28 yards of rushing on 18 carries. This man is potentially the greatest running back in ACC history. Like, has most of the ACC rushing records.
Yeah.
And the Notre Dame defense just shut that down, and it was fantastic to see. DJ threw for 439 yards. So he's obviously no slouch. We've been saying it for 2 weeks that he wasn't going to be easy by any means. Yeah. He found Powell for 161 yards and Rogers for 134. They've got some studs there playing wide receiver at Clemson, and they were making plays left and right all night. Kyron Williams with his 4th 100-plus yard rushing game of the year, picked up 140 yards, aided heavily on the second play of the game with a 65-yard touchdown run. And that man was picking up blocks at an NFL rate last night.
Oh, yeah. He was.
I know Tony Dungy said something about it, but he made several blocks that either kept Ian Book alive on plays, added runs, just avoided sacks. It was fantastic to watch him pick up pass blocks.
I mean, the offensive line and running back and pass pro were, I mean, Clemson's defense, they're known for their defensive line typically. And again, they're young. And let me tell y'all something real quick. Clemson, they're not going nowhere. And not that anybody thought that way, but 2 of their best defensive linemen are freshmen.
Right?
Like the one dude Brian Breezy, who we don't know if I didn't hear what his injury was, but he got hurt last night. He doesn't even remember.
Yeah.
That kid was the number 1 recruit in the nation. I remember earlier in the first beginnings of Irish Sooner, I was like, "Opie, you need to look at this kid," because he was just a man amongst boys in high school, right?
Freak.
And I mean, even in college, at times he can look like that. And they're true freshmen. And so, just because you see true freshmen, don't think that like, oh, Clemson's down, they're slow. No, like they're still good, right? And so that's what they're known for, and that's what Brent Venables is known for, bringing that pressure, right? And I mean, you guys protected Ian Book like he was a baby last night, which is what you want. And Ian Book had great pocket presence, great feel, stepping up, knowing when to run. That's probably the best game in Ian Book's career last night.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
We have an offensive line with 142, I think it is now, combined starts.
Yeah.
It helps a lot.
Yep.
And that is going to be a huge loss next year when some of these guys finally start to graduate and leave.
Yeah, you guys are stacked.
But at the same point, the depth at the offensive line position has been very deep, and they've recruited well over the next couple of years. Like we've said before, offensive line university, and it's just going to keep recycling. Obviously, you're going to take a slight step back to move forward again.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, just looked absolutely incredible on pass blocking last night. So I could keep talking for quite a while, but I know you have things to do tonight, so I will keep it short.
Yeah. So we're gonna answer real quick. It's time for GMO's question of the day. GMO question of the day.
I'm still thinking we need a GMO question of the day song that we can
We
just
still need one. But okay, I'm gonna ask one question to me, and he has a question for you. Okay.
Ooh.
Let's start with you.
Oh man.
He said, Opie, will Notre Dame jump to number 2 with their win against Clemson? And do you see them being a threat to make the college football playoff now?
Well, yes, they did jump to number 2. Last night when I was putting my poll together, I'm on the College Sports Overload mock playoff committee. What?
So I forgot he asked that last night. So, of course, the AP poll hadn't come out yet. But
you're good.
Continue.
But, yes, they have come out. Last night when I put mine together, I had them at 2 as well, behind Alabama. I had Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson as my top 4.
Right.
And I do see them as being a threat to the college football playoff. And I think regardless of what happens, as long as Notre Dame wins out and Clemson wins out, you'll have a December 19th rematch of last night in Charlotte. And I don't know if you can penalize one team.
Here's the thing: if you guys win out and you lose in the championship game, I still think you can make it as the 4.
That's my worry is, do you fall out of that 4 with that late of a loss? I don't think you can, especially when you beat the team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, Alabama made it the one year and they weren't even in the conference championship game. I think realistically what you're gonna have to look at is Alabama is probably gonna play. Has Florida lost yet?
Yeah, they lost to A&M.
Okay. Alabama's going to play probably Florida.
Yeah.
In the SEC championship game. So if Alabama wins, that knocks a second SEC team out because they're not. I don't care who it is. They're not going to put an A&M in there because they're a one-loss team. The only reason they put Bama in there, even though they weren't supposed to, was because of the precedent that Bama had basically set. If you were going to put anybody in there that's one loss and didn't make their conference championship game, it was going to be Bama, and they proved the committee right by winning that year, right? But I don't think they're going to put A&M in there if that happens. I don't know. I don't think A&M's going to win out anyway, but we'll see.
Right.
That's really your only other threat because then you have Ohio State's probably going to make it. So you got Bama, Ohio State, and then let's say Clemson beats you, Clemson at 3, and then you at 4. Unless this is the year they're going to finally say, let's put a BYU or a Cincinnati right in there. Which if they're going to do that, here's my thing, and that's why I said this was going to be the year, bro, to do an 18 like an experiment because it's a wash anyways, right? Like. And you have these teams like BYU and Cincinnati that I'm not saying in normal years they wouldn't go undefeated, maybe not, but they also don't have, marquee non-conference games that they would normally be playing and that could bolster their resume. Now you're looking at them like, okay, you're undefeated, but most of the time you just played this team, and this team.
Right.
So how can we give you credence? Whereas like if you played a Power 5 team and beat them in the non-conference game, which that's not happening this year, you might have a little bit more of a argument, So I just think this was the perfect year to do that, and that NCAA dropped the ball like they normally do.
Yeah, I think we both agreed on that early on in the show and whatnot. But I do think BYU looks really nice. I think they look good.
Zach Wilson's a beast.
I saw a tweet last night that said, this is from somebody I know who works in sports, and I would say knows sports well. But they said if you put BYU and Notre Dame on the same field, BYU will hang a 50 burger.
Sorry, Opie.
You're good. Hang a 50 burger on Notre Dame in regulation.
Who?
They said BYU would hang 50 points on Notre Dame in regulation.
What?
I-
Stop.
This is after Clemson took Notre Dame to double overtime last night.
They're stupid. And here's the thing. Let me tell y'all something out there. Okay. Here's what I tweeted after Notre Dame won that game last night. I said, hey, Texas football. That's how when you know you're back, right? Because they beat the number one team in the land. Okay. Notre Dame and Texas have both been on in way more Texas than Notre Dame, because at least Notre Dame has made the playoff. At least Notre Dame has made a national championship this decade, right? Or, been a little bit relevant. But people
Let's not talk about either of those games.
But still, right? Is Notre Dame actually good now? Are they actually good? Okay, here's your proof, right? Like I asked Ryan, what makes this Notre Dame team different than the other ones? He said depth. They proved themselves last night. Bang, there you go, okay? Texas, that's how you get back. Somebody want to argue with me. Oh, well, if Trevor Lawrence was playing, then Clemson probably would have won because they had their true freshman quarterback in there and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, maybe, who knows? Maybe there's a little bit of different experience. But dude also completed like 68% of his passes and threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, bro.
I don't see any step back between DJ and Trevor.
If there is one, it's running.
Yeah.
DJ's not a runner. Like, Trevor's more of a runner.
Right.
I do think that Trevor's the more talented prospect, but barely. It's not a huge,
right,
even minuscule drop off, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to tell dude. I was like, did you watch the game? Did you watch what DJ Ukulele, however you say his last name, did?
I was saying,
he threw for 400 yards on a good defense, 4 tutties, bro. Like, so what? He's a true freshman in the second game. Did he perform like a true freshman in the second game? No. So Notre Dame still had to go out there and whoop their butt. It's not like, he had a terrible game and Notre Dame won because he had a terrible game. He played amazing.
Yeah, he didn't throw 3 picks that, his only turnover that cost him was not even 100% on him. It was the pitch that ETN didn't snag, popped off. Jeremiah Wu grabbed, ran it back. Technically should have been down, but like we said all day, the officiating was not good last night. So they gave him a touchdown instead of being down at the half-yard line. Anyways, I digress. I'll take a defensive touchdown all day. I don't care. Sure, it would have boosted Kyron Williams' numbers to add another 1-yard touchdown run, but still.
Complimentary football, dog.
Yeah. So we got off on a real weird tangent here. To circle back, Gmo. Yes, Notre Dame should be number 2 in the poll. I know people that voted for him number 1 this week.
Yeah.
But not even people that cover Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, this should be number 2. And yes, I see them being a threat to make the college football playoff. And potentially even snag a win in the college football playoff.
If they play like they did last night, they should be every bit as considered as Ohio State and Alabama as a national title favorite. And again, that has not been able to be said realistically for Notre Dame in a minute. Like, you've been able to say, oh, they're good. Like when you made the playoffs, right? Like, they're like maybe a shot, but I don't think anybody thought y'all were going to beat Clemson. And obviously you only scored 3 points. 2012, like everybody thought that y'all were going to, you were good that year. But then Alabama said, we just different. We built different. And they showed you.
I remember when I was driving or about to leave to drive to Dallas, I remember looking at my mom and saying, I don't know why I'm driving to this. They're going to get smacked. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be great. It was 100% great. It was worth it. But it was just one of those, like, we all knew that, like, we were going to get beat in that game.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you'll be favored. Maybe you will. Let's see how the rest of the season plays out. But I will sit here and say with anybody else, you will not be an underdog and nobody will sleep on you because you've proven yourself.
Right.
His question to me was, with the Big 12 still up in the air with potential front runner, what 2 teams do you see grabbing control meeting in the Big 12? in my opinion, I think it all hinges on next week, or excuse me, not next week, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Bedlam is going to determine the course of that. If Oklahoma wins that game, like we still have to get through West Virginia, who's a good team, and even Baylor's little, they're not great, but they're whatever. You still have to play your games. The winner of that game, I think, will assure themselves a spot in the Big 12 championship game. Because if we win that game and then win out, we're in essentially no matter what. All we need is for Kansas State, just Kansas State, to lose one more time. And they still have to play Texas, and they still have to play Iowa State. And I'd be hard-pressed to say they're going to beat both of those teams. They had a nice hot start to the season, but I think they're come down to earth a little bit. Skylar Thompson, who, of course, played when we were playing them, has been out for the last couple of weeks, and I'm not sure if he's going to be, ready to go. But regardless, I think once that happens, whoever wins Bedlam is kind of going to be in the driver's seat. If OU does, driver's seat, they control their own destiny. Obviously, Kansas State has to lose, and I think they will. Once that happens, OU's going to be in their sixth straight Big 12 championship game. And then if Oklahoma State wins, they control their destiny the rest of the way out, too. Matter of fact, let me real quick before we leave here. I'm going to check what Oklahoma State's schedule is after Bedlam, because I'm pretty sure they have a lot. They've already played Texas, Kansas State, and Iowa State. So I think they have a light. So they have Texas Tech, TCU, and Baylor. So three of the kind of bottomer teams in the Big 12 after Bedlam. So like I said, the Bedlam winner is going to be in the driver's seat. And then depending on what Iowa State does, if Iowa State wins out, they're in. If Texas wins out, they're in, right? And so that's the kind of the thing you're going to have to see is that Texas-Iowa State game would be maybe the secondary game that people control their destiny, because whoever wins Bedlam and then pretty much whoever wins Texas-Iowa State, I think are going to be the two that meet there. If Texas wins and then they complete and win out and beat Kansas State, they'll be there. If we win out, we'll be there. So it could be OU Texas, it could be OU Iowa State, it could be Oklahoma State, Texas, it could be Oklahoma State, Kansas State. You just don't know, But it's really going to be between those 4 or 5 teams, and it's a big jumble right now. So Bedlam is going to be the key, and then after that, Texas and Iowa State is what I was saying. My personal opinion is I think Oklahoma is going to come out and expose Oklahoma State. I think that their defense is good, but the way they play is designed for Oklahoma to expose them, because they like to stack the box and stop the running game, and they like to play man-to-man, one-on-one. That is not a good look against an explosive team like Oklahoma. You better get home. And Lincoln Riley is the best play caller in the nation by some accounts, and by most accounts probably. So you're going to have to make sure that you're prepared, because he's definitely going to be prepared. He's going to be scouting you. Offensively, Chuba Hubbard hasn't looked all that great. He's still great, so you should got to be careful. Spencer Sanders is a turnover machine. So they're still good, but I don't think they're as good as people thought they'd be, because their quarterback is not as good as everybody thought they'd be. So we'll see. But I think Oklahoma's going to expose them in 2 weeks, and then we're going to cruise to our 6th straight Big 12 championship. And that's a hot take. You can hold me to that, right? And then I personally think that Iowa State will beat Texas and will beat Kansas State, and then they will meet us in the Big 12 championship game. We'll get some revenge for our loss in Ames.
Big time Iowa State guy here.
Big time. So that's my 2 cents, and Gma, hopefully that answered your question succinctly. OP, you got anything, man, before we head out here?
I do not. I mean, still riding that high from last night. I'm good. I'm ready for it. Just got to take care of business next week against Boston College. Make sure we don't do the same thing that happened the last time we beat the number 1 team in the country, where we go out and lose to Boston College the very next week.
Right.
And ruin any potential national championship appearance. But nonetheless, I digress. No, I don't have anything else to say.
Good. I'm happy for you, dog. Enjoy it. Come back next week strong, beat Boston College, and you guys control your own destiny, man. Keep playing that way. You'll be in the college football playoff, and I think you'll have a real shot. Now, everybody else, if you're not watching the NFL right now, some of the games on right now, Tua and Kyler are in a barn burner right now, 21-14. Arizona's about to score and tie it up 21-21. That's a great game going on. Also, Dallas, believe it or not, is up on a lot of people think are the best team in football in the Steelers. They're up on them 13-0, and Dallas's quarterback looks competent, which we couldn't say that for the guy that was in there last week. So crazy enough.
Who's that last week? Ben DiNucci?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what. Something had to have happened for them to not have started this dude because he looks way better.
Really?
Maybe it's the Steelers' fault because they're not pressuring him a ton as far as I've seen. Because I'm on red zone, so I haven't seen the whole game. But when I've seen it, they haven't pressured him a ton. His touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb, it was a 3-man rush, and CeeDee Lamb was allowed to break open a little bit.
But you know who the Steelers' leading receiver today is, though? It's our boy Chase Claypool. 2 catches, 23 yards so far, leads the team. But anyway.
Indeed, baby. But yeah, guys, we appreciate y'all like always. Stay tuned. We're probably gonna pop up another episode out here real quick this week, detailing this upcoming weekend's events. OU has a bye week. Notre Dame plays Boston College. So keep your tabs on that. But if there's nothing left to say, that being said,
Go Irish.
Boomer Sooner.